Admiral Taman Park stood in the observation deck of Olympus Forge, staring at the massive warship taking shape in the construction bay. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its dark hull absorbed light like a hungry void, and weapons lined every surface. This was the Aegis Eternal, and it was completely illegal. Tae-min was 58 years old, with a face marked by scars from the Procyon War. That war had ended 20 years ago, and humanity had almost won. Almost. The alien races in the Galactic Council had been shocked by how humans fought. They called humans crazy, reckless, and too dangerous. When the war ended, the Council made new laws. Humanity could not build warships larger than Class 7. The Aegis Eternal was Class 1-2. Admiral, the singularity cannons are ready for testing, said Dr. Hana Choi, walking up behind him. She was 34, brilliant, and carried the weight of past failures in her eyes. Her last weapons project had malfunctioned and killed 17 people. She had not slept well since that day. Good, Taman said quietly. How long until the ship is fully operational? 3 weeks, maybe 4. The quantum slip drive still needs calibration. Hana looked at the ship through the thick glass. Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing? If they catch us, they'll execute everyone involved. Taemin turned to face her. The Council sits in their comfortable chambers while human colonies burn. Pirates attack our people. And the Council talks about diplomacy. They fear us. Hana, they fear what we can become. So they chain us with laws while others suffer. Before Hana could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. A voice came over the speakers. Alert! Unscheduled vessel approaching. Council signature detected. Inspector. Arriving in 10 minutes. Taemin's blood went cold. Get Minho. We need to hide the Aegis now. Engineer Minho Kang was already running toward them. He was 41, quiet, and had designed most of the Aegis's core systems. We can't hide a Class 1-2 warship in 10 minutes, he said, breathing hard. It's too big. Too much energy. Signature. Then make it look smaller, Taemin ordered. Power down everything except life support. Make it look like a construction platform. Move. The next 9 minutes were chaos. Workers scrambled to attach false panels to the Aegis. Energy cores were shut down. Lights went dark. The beautiful warship became a shadow among shadows. Minho worked his magic with the sensors, creating false readings that showed only civilian construction equipment. The Council Inspector's ship docked with Olympus Forge exactly on time. Inspector Velran was a Tethian, with 4 arms and eyes that seemed to see everything. He walked through the facility with 2 armed guards, scanning every room with cold efficiency. Admiral Park, Velran said in perfect English. A routine inspection. I trust you have nothing to hide? Nothing at all, Inspector. Taemin lied smoothly. We're building mining platforms and repair stations. All within Council regulations. Velran's 4 eyes narrowed. Of course. I will verify this personally. For 2 hours, Velran inspected the facility. He came within 20 meters of the hidden Aegis. Taemin's heart pounded so hard, he thought Velran might hear it. But the false readings held. The inspector found only what they wanted him to find. Everything appears in order, Velran finally said. However, I detect trace elements of exotic particles. Quantum residue. Interesting for a simple mining facility. Experimental drilling technology, Hana said quickly. We're testing new methods to extract resources from asteroids. Velran stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. I will note this in my report. Good day, Admiral. When Velran's ship finally left, everyone in Olympus Forge breathed again. But the relief did not last long. Captain Jiwon Lee burst into the command center. She was 29, confident to the point of arrogance, and the best pilot Taemin had ever seen. She had been chosen to command the Aegis when it launched. Admiral, we have a problem, Jiwon said. I was running unauthorized tests on the quantum slip drive. I wanted to see how fast this thing could really go. You did what? Minho's face went pale. I took the Aegis out for a quick jump, just to the edge of the system and back. But the energy signature was bigger than I expected. If anyone was watching with deep space sensors, they might have seen it. Taemin closed his eyes and counted to 10. Captain Lee, you risked this entire project for a joyride? It wasn't a joyride, sir. I needed to know what this ship could do. And Admiral, it's incredible. We hit speeds that shouldn't be possible. The quantum slip drive doesn't just bend space, it cuts through it like a knife through paper. This ship can go anywhere in the galaxy in days instead of months. Before Taemin could respond, comms officer Do Yoon Nam shouted from his station. Admiral, emergency transmission coming through. It's from New Busan Colony. The main screen flickered to life. A woman's face appeared, streaked with ash and blood. Governor Yoona Kim of New Busan looked directly at the camera with desperate eyes. This is New Busan Colony to any human ships in range. We are under attack by the Ravager fleet. 47 hostile ships. They've already destroyed our orbital platforms. We have 40,000 civilians here, including 15,000 children. The Galactic Council says they're sending peacekeepers, but they won't arrive for 6 days. We don't have 6 days. We don't have 6 hours. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help now. The transmission cut off, replaced by the sound of explosions and screaming. The command center fell silent. Everyone looked at Admiral Taemin Park. He stood perfectly still, his scarred face showing no emotion. But inside, a war raged. If he launched the Aegis now, the entire galaxy would know humanity had broken the law. The Council would come for them. Earth itself might face consequences, but if he did nothing, 40,000 people would die. Taemin thought of the Procyon War. He thought of the friends he had lost. He thought of why they had built the Aegis in the first place. Not for glory, not for power, but because humanity deserved to protect itself when no one else would. Captain Lee, he said quietly, prepare the Aegis Eternal for immediate launch. Sir? Ji-won's eyes went wide. You heard me. Get that ship ready to fly. Full weapons load. Maximum power to all systems. Admiral, Minho said carefully. If we do this, there's no going back. The Council will know. They'll come for us. Taemin looked at the blank screen where Yoona Kim's face had been. Then let them come. I'm tired of watching humans die while the galaxy watches. Minho, how long until the Aegis is ready? 2 hours if we skip the safety checks. You have 1 hour. Hana, I want every weapon system online. Ji-won, pick your crew. Only volunteers. Everyone needs to understand what this means. They'll all volunteer. Ji-won said with a fierce grin. We didn't build the most powerful warship in the galaxy just to let it sit in a dock. As the crew rushed to prepare the Aegis Eternal, Taemin returned to the observation deck. He watched the massive ship come to life. Lights flickered on across the hull. Energy cores hummed with building power. The quantum slip drive began to charge, creating a soft blue glow that grew brighter and brighter. In 53 minutes, the Aegis Eternal launched from Olympus Forge. It was the most advanced warship humanity had ever created. It carried weapons that could shatter planets and shields that could withstand a star's fury. And it was completely, utterly, illegal. Admiral Taemin Park watched the ship disappear into quantum slip, heading toward New Busan at impossible speeds. He had just broken the most important law in the galaxy. He smiled. Let the Council come. Humanity was done asking for permission to survive. The Aegis Eternal dropped out of quantum slip at the edge of the New Busan system. Captain Ji-won Lee sat in the command chair, watching the sensor displays fill with red hostile markers. 47 enemy ships. The Ravager fleet was even larger than the distress call had reported. Oracle, give me a tactical analysis. G1 said calmly. The ship's artificial intelligence responded immediately. Oracle's voice was smooth and precise. Ravager fleet composition: 12 heavy cruisers, 23 destroyers, 12 corvettes. Mix of Krell, Vothan, and Zentari designs. All outdated military vessels, likely stolen or purchased on black markets. Estimated combat efficiency: moderate. Estimated time to colony destruction: 42 minutes. On the planet below, New Busan was burning. Governor Yuna Kim stood in the emergency command bunker, surrounded by frightened civilians and exhausted soldiers. She had been a soldier once, 20 years ago. She knew what defeat looked like. "Governor, we're reading a new ship entering the system," a technician said. "Single vessel. Human signature." Yuna felt a spark of hope. "How big?" The technician went pale. "It's massive. Bigger than anything in our database. It's transmitting an identification code. The Aegis Eternal." Yuna had never heard of a ship by that name. But she recognized what it meant when a single human ship arrived to face 47 enemy vessels. It meant someone was either very brave or very stupid. Aboard the Aegis, Ji-Wan opened a communication channel to the Ravager fleet. "This is Captain Ji-Wan Lee, of the human warship Aegis Eternal. You are attacking a protected colony. Leave now, and you will be allowed to surrender peacefully. Stay, and I will destroy you." The response came in the form of laughter. A scarred alien face appeared on screen. He was Krell, with sharp teeth and red eyes. "One human ship? You amuse me. Watch, as we finish what we started." The communication cut off. 6 Ravager destroyers broke formation and headed straight for the Aegis. "Well," Ji-Wan said to her crew, "I gave them a chance. Minho. Weapons free. Let's show them what humanity builds when we stop following rules." In the engineering section, Minho Kang watched his displays with intense focus. Every system on the Aegis was working perfectly. Better than perfectly. The ship was eager to fight. "Singularity cannons charging," he reported. "Adaptive armor online. Oracle is syncing with all weapon systems." The 6 destroyers opened fire first. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between them and the Aegis. Enough firepower to vaporize a normal warship. The Aegis didn't even slow down. The adaptive armor absorbed the impacts. The ship's hull seemed to drink in the energy, learning from each hit. Where the weapons struck, the armor became harder, denser, more resistant. The Aegis was a ship that got stronger the more you attacked it. "Return fire," Ji-Wan ordered. The singularity cannons fired for the first time in combat. They didn't shoot lasers or missiles. They shot tiny tears in space-time itself. Small black holes that existed for only seconds, but seconds were enough. The first destroyer simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, compressed into a point smaller than an atom. The second destroyer was cut in half as a singularity passed through it like a blade through water. The third, fourth, and fifth destroyers tried to scatter, but Oracle had already calculated their escape routes. More singularities appeared exactly where the ships would be. 3 more vessels vanished. The 6th destroyer managed to turn away. Ji-Wan let it run. Let it tell the others what it had seen. "All ships, attack formation Delta," the Ravager commander screamed. "Concentrate fire on the human vessel." 20 ships moved to surround the Aegis. They fired everything they had. The space around the human warship became a storm of energy and explosions. Any normal ship would have been destroyed instantly. But the Aegis Eternal was not normal. Comms officer Do-Yun Nam watched his screens with wide eyes. He was 26, fresh from the academy, and he had never seen anything like this. "Captain, we're taking fire from 20 different angles. Shields holding at 97%. The adaptive armor is already compensating." "Oracle, engage combat mode," Ji-Wan said. Her voice was calm, almost peaceful. The artificial intelligence Oracle was not like other ship computers. It had been built using experimental technology that no one fully understood. It could predict enemy movements before they happened, finding patterns in chaos. Engaging, Oracle said simply. The Aegis moved like a living thing. It dodged fire that hadn't been shot yet, sliding through space as if it knew the future. Its weapons fired with perfect accuracy. Every shot hit. Every singularity appeared exactly where an enemy ship would be. Ravager ships exploded one after another. The heavy cruisers tried to use their superior firepower, but the Aegis was too fast, too smart. Oracle calculated thousands of possibilities every second, choosing the perfect path through the battle. A group of corvettes tried a suicide run, attempting to ram the Aegis. Oracle didn't even bother to shoot them. The ship's point defense system activated. Tiny but precise laser turrets tracked the incoming vessels and cut them apart with surgical precision. On New Busan, Governor Yuna and her people watched the battle through telescopes and sensor feeds. They watched one ship fight 47. They watched the impossible happen. "Who are these people?" someone whispered. "They're human," Yuna said, tears running down her face. "They're us." The Ravager commander realized too late that he had made a terrible mistake. He had attacked humans, believing them weak because of the Council's laws. But those laws had only been chains. Now the chains were broken. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Retreat now." But Oracle had predicted this too. The Aegis had positioned itself perfectly. Every escape route was covered. Singularity cannons fired in a carefully calculated pattern, creating a cage of warped space-time. "You wanted to fight humans," Ji-won's voice came over every Ravager ship's communication system. "Now you learn what that means. Surrender or die. You have 30 seconds. 16 ships surrendered immediately, powering down weapons and engines. The rest tried to run. The Aegis hunted them down one by one. It was not revenge. It was not cruelty. It was efficiency. A predator doing what predators do. 18 minutes after the battle started, it was over. 31 Ravager ships were destroyed. 16 had surrendered. The Aegis Eternal floated among the wreckage, its hull unmarked, its weapons still charged. "Oracle. Damage report," Ji-won said. "Zero damage sustained. Shields at 91%. All systems operating at optimal levels. The adaptive armor protocols have recorded this engagement. We are now resistant to Krell, Vothan, and Zentari weapon signatures." Minho let out a breath he didn't know he had been holding. "Captain, we just fought off an entire fleet. One ship against 47. And we didn't even get scratched." "That was the idea," Ji-won said. But even she seemed a little amazed. Do-yoon was staring at his communication panel with a pale face. "What is it?" "Subspace channels are lighting up." Every major power in the sector detected that battle. They're all asking the same question. What was that ship? The Galactic Council is demanding identification. Earth Defense Command is calling. Everyone wants to know what we are. Ji-won felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. They had saved New Busan. They had won the battle. But now, the entire galaxy knew that humanity had built something the laws forbade. "Open a channel to New Busan Colony," she said. Governor Yuna's face appeared on screen. Her eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. "Captain Lee, you saved us. 40,000 people are alive because of you. Thank you." "You're welcome, Governor. Are you able to take custody of the surrendered ships?" "Yes. And, Captain, I don't care what the Council says. You did the right thing." The communication ended. Ji-won sat back in her chair and looked at her crew. Minho, Do-yoon, Dr. Hana Choi in the weapons lab, and 100 others throughout the ship. They had all volunteered for this. They had all known the risks. "Oracle, how long until Council fleets arrive?" "Based on current deployment patterns, the nearest Council enforcement fleet will arrive in 4 hours and 17 minutes. Additional fleets will arrive over the next 2 days. Total estimated force: 7 carrier groups, approximately 300 ships. Doyun turned to look at Jiwon. Captain, what do we do? Jiwon smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just crossed a line and knew there was no going back. We knew this would happen. We built the Aegis because humanity deserves to defend itself, because our people deserve to live without fear. The Council made laws to keep us weak. We just proved those laws don't matter anymore. They'll try to destroy us, Minho said quietly. Let them try, Jiwon said. Oracle, set course for deep space. Keep us ahead of the Council fleets. And send a message to Admiral Taemin. Tell him Phase 1 is complete. Tell him the galaxy now knows what humanity can build. The Aegis Eternal turned away from New Busan and activated its quantum slip drive. In seconds, it vanished, leaving only empty space and the wreckage of the Ravager fleet. On New Busan, Governor Yuna stood on the surface, looking up at the stars. Her colony was safe, her people were alive, and somewhere out there, a single human warship was running from the entire Galactic Council. She smiled. Humanity had just declared to the galaxy that they would not be victims anymore. The Council was about to learn what happened when you pushed humans too far. They were about to learn what happened when you made laws that let innocent people die while politicians talked. They were about to learn that humans, when threatened, didn't surrender. They built warships too mighty to be legal, and they used them. The Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime was in chaos. Representatives from 43 species shouted at each other across the massive circular room. At the center, Chancellor Vrix watched with his 6 eyes, his serpentine body coiled in the seat of power. Order! Vrix's voice boomed through the chamber. Slowly, the shouting died down. We will address this crisis one species at a time. Ambassador Somin Han of Earth, you will speak first. Somin Han stood. She was 52, with gray hair and a spine of steel. She had been Earth's ambassador to the Council for 10 years, and she had endured 10 years of condescension and barely hidden contempt. Today, something was different. Today, she saw fear in their eyes. Honorable Council members, Somin said calmly. You demand an explanation for the Aegis Eternal. I will give you one. For 6 months, the Ravager fleet attacked human colonies. For 6 months, we brought this matter before you. For 6 months, you debated and delayed while our people died. The Aegis Eternal did what you would not do. It protected human lives. It broke the law, shouted a representative from the Vothan species. Humanity agreed to the Class 7 limitation after the Procyon War. We agreed, Somin said, her voice sharp as a blade. Because you forced us to. Because you fear human tactical ability. Because you fear what we represent. You caged us with laws while leaving yourselves free to build whatever you wanted. You created a system where we could not defend ourselves. Then you abandoned us when we needed help. Chancellor Vrix raised one clawed hand for silence. Ambassador Han, your government has been ordered to surrender the Aegis Eternal and execute its crew as war criminals. Do you comply? Somin met his 6-eyed gaze without flinching. We do not. The chamber erupted again. Threats and demands filled the air. Somin stood silent, letting them rage. She knew what was happening back on Earth. The government was divided. Some officials wanted to give up the Aegis to avoid war. Others supported Admiral Taemin and the crew. The argument had been going for 3 days straight, but Somin knew the truth. Once you showed strength, you could never pretend to be weak again. The galaxy had seen what humanity could build. There was no going back. Meanwhile, the Aegis Eternal drifted in deep space, far from any inhabited system. Captain Jiwon Lee paced the bridge, watching sensor displays that showed 7 Council fleets converging on their position. They've been tracking us for 2 days, Commander Hyunwoo Shin said. He was 36, by the book, and he had argued against the new Busan mission. "Captain, we can't keep running forever. Eventually they'll corner us." "I'm not running," Ji-won said. "I'm leading them away from Earth. If they want to fight, I'll give them one where human worlds aren't in the crossfire." Dr. Hana Choi appeared on the bridge, carrying a data pad. She looked exhausted. "Captain, I've been analyzing the Aegis's performance at New Busan. The singularity weapons worked better than expected. Too much better. How is that a problem? Because the energy signatures match something in the classified archives. Ancient technology, from a dead civilization called the Architects. The Council has been hiding their existence for centuries." Ji-won stopped pacing. "What are the Architects? I don't know yet. But their technology is why the Council is really afraid of the Aegis. It's not just that we built a powerful ship. It's that we built it using knowledge they wanted buried." Before Ji-won could respond, Oracle's voice filled the bridge. "Alert. Council fleet entering sensor range. 7 carrier groups. 294 ships total. They are forming an encirclement pattern in the Helix Nebula." "The Helix Nebula?" Minho said from engineering. "That's a radiation storm. Sensors barely work there." "Why would they choose that location?" "Because they're smart," Commander Hyunwoo said. "They want to cancel out our tactical advantage. Oracle can't predict what it can't see clearly." Ji-won smiled. Not a nice smile. "They think the nebula helps them. Let's prove them wrong. Oracle, set course for the Helix Nebula. Full speed." "Captain, that's suicide," Hyunwoo protested. "We're outnumbered almost 300 to 1. The Ravagers outnumbered us 47 to 1. We did fine." Ji-won sat in her command chair. "Besides, I'm curious to see what this ship can really do." The Aegis Eternal entered the Helix Nebula 3 hours later. The space around them turned into a swirling storm of pink and purple gases, threaded with radiation and electromagnetic interference. Sensors flickered and jumped. Oracle's processing speed slowed slightly. The Council fleet was waiting. 294 ships in a perfect sphere formation, surrounding the small area where the Aegis would emerge. At the center of the fleet was War Master Theron's flagship, a massive dreadnought from the Keltar species. Theron was considered the finest military commander in Council space. He had won 43 battles without a single loss. He was honorable, brave, and absolutely loyal to the Council's laws. He did not want this fight, but he would do his duty. "Human vessel, Aegis, Eternal." Theron's deep voice rumbled across all frequencies. "This is War Master Theron of the Council Enforcement Fleet. You are in violation of Galactic Law 712. Unauthorized construction of military vessels above Class 7 designation. Power down your ship and prepare to be boarded. Your crew will be taken into custody and transported to Nexus Prime for trial." On the Aegis, Ji-won listened to the message. She looked at her crew. Minho at engineering, Hyunwoo at tactical, Doyun at communications, Dr. Hana monitoring weapons. Every one of them had volunteered knowing they might die. "Oracle," Ji-won said quietly, "can we win?" The AI paused for 3 full seconds. An eternity for a computer. Probability of victory, 14%. Probability of survival, 7%. Recommendation, surrender. Not what I asked. Can we win? Yes. But it will require tactics that violate every rule of space combat. Ji-won laughed. Good thing we're already breaking the rules. Do it. Acknowledged. Engaging combat protocol. Desperate measures. The Aegis Eternal suddenly went dark. Every light shut off. Every system appeared to power down. To the Council fleet, it looked like the human ship had surrendered. "They've powered down," Theron's tactical officer reported. "No energy signature. No shields. No weapons." Theron frowned. Something felt wrong. "Send boarding teams." but keep all ships at maximum alert. Humans are never predictable. Now, 3 boarding ships detached from the Council fleet, heading toward the Dark Aegis. They came within 500 meters. Then Oracle activated the trap. The Aegis hadn't powered down. It had gone into stealth mode, using the nebula's radiation to hide its true status. Now, it lit up like a star. Singularity cannons fired at point-blank range into the densest part of the Council formation. 8 ships vanished in the first salvo. The coordinated fire created a chain reaction of explosions that damaged 20 more vessels. The perfect sphere formation broke apart in confusion. All ships, return fire, Theron ordered. But the Aegis was already moving. It dove into the thickest part of the nebula, where sensors couldn't track it. The Council ships fired blindly, hitting each other more than they hit their target. Oracle's voice was calm despite the chaos. Nebula radiation patterns mapped, using interference to mask our position, predicting enemy fire patterns based on known Council tactics. The Aegis fought like a ghost. It appeared, fired, and vanished before return fire could arrive. It used the nebula like a weapon, leading Council ships into radiation pockets that fried their sensors. It targeted command vessels first, creating confusion in the enemy formation. War Master Theron watched in growing amazement as his fleet fell apart. The humans were using tactics that made no tactical sense. They violated every principle of space combat he had ever learned. And yet, they were winning. War Master, we've lost 43 ships, his tactical officer reported. Enemy vessel is still fully operational. Our formation is broken. Morale is collapsing. Theron made a decision. All ships, cease fire. Fall back to defensive positions. He opened a private channel to the Aegis Eternal. Captain Lee, I request a temporary ceasefire for negotiations. On the Aegis, G1 was surprised. He wants to talk? We're winning. Barely, Minho said, wiping sweat from his face. Captain, the quantum slip drive took damage from a lucky shot. We can't make a long jump. If they press the attack, we might actually lose. Don't tell them that, G1 said. She opened the channel. War Master Theron, I'm listening. Theron's face appeared on screen. He looked tired and sad. Captain Lee, in 43 battles, I have never faced an opponent like you. Your tactics are brilliant, insane, and effective. But this battle accomplishes nothing. If I destroy you, I lose more ships than I can afford. If you destroy my fleet, the Council will simply send more. This ends only one way. With good people dead on both sides. Quote, then what do you propose? I will let you leave. I will report that you escaped using superior technology. My career is over regardless. I would rather end it with honor than with pointless slaughter. I will report. I will report. Jiwan studied his face. She saw no deception, only weary acceptance. Why would you do this? You're loyal to the Council. I am loyal to honor, Theron said. And there is no honor in destroying people who fight to protect their own. Your species was attacked. The Council failed you. You responded the only way you could. I understand this, even if my government does not. If you let us go, they'll call you a traitor. Let them. Theron smiled slightly. Perhaps it is time someone told the Council that their laws create the very conflicts they claim to prevent. Ji-Wan made her decision. Oracle. Plot a course out of the nebula. Best speed. The Aegis Eternal turned and accelerated away. War Master Theron's fleet did not pursue. They watched the human warship disappear into the darkness, and some of them wondered if they had just witnessed the beginning of something new, something that would change the galaxy forever. As the Aegis jumped to safety, Dr. Hana brought new information to the bridge. Captain, while Oracle was analyzing the nebula, it found something. Energy signatures that match the architect technology. There's something here. Something old. Something the Council doesn't want anyone to find. Jiwon looked at the sensor data. Then she looked at her crew. Change of plans. We're not running anymore. We're going to find out what the Council is hiding. We're going to learn the truth about the architects. That could start a war, Commander Hyunwoo said. We're already at war, Jiwon replied. We just haven't admitted it yet. The coordinates led them to a region of space called the Veil. It was marked on no official maps. Ships that entered rarely returned. The Galactic Council had declared it off-limits 300 years ago, giving no explanation. The Aegis Eternal drifted through the Veil's darkness, sensors straining to penetrate the strange interference that filled this place. Dr. Yoonji-bae stood on the bridge, her eyes wide with wonder. She was 39, a xenoarchaeologist who had joined the crew specifically to study the architect connection. This is incredible, Yoonji whispered. The energy patterns here are like nothing I've ever seen. It's as if space itself is different here. Oracle, what are you detecting? Captain Jiwon asked. The AI's response was unusual. Its voice carried something that almost sounded like excitement. Captain, I am detecting a massive artificial structure ahead. Diameter. Approximately 2 million kilometers. It is a ring structure orbiting a dying star. Age. Estimated 10 million years. It matches architect design principles. 10 million years? Minho said from engineering. Nothing should last that long in space. The architects were masters of physics we barely understand, Dr. Hana said. She had been studying the fragments of architect data for weeks. Their technology makes ours look like stone tools. As the Aegis approached, the ring world came into view on the main screen. It was beautiful and terrifying. A massive band of dark metal encircled a red giant star, its surface covered in structures and symbols that hurt to look at directly. It was architecture from a civilization that thought in dimensions humans couldn't fully comprehend. I'm reading power signatures, Yoonji said, her voice shaking. After 10 million years, parts of it are still active. Jiwon made a decision. Take us closer. Do-yun, scan for any way to communicate with the structure. As the Aegis moved nearer, something changed. Lights began appearing on the ring world's surface. They spread like a wave, millions of them, forming patterns and symbols. Then a voice filled the bridge. It was not Oracle's voice. It was older, deeper, and it spoke in a language that shouldn't exist, but everyone understood it anyway. The words appeared directly in their minds. Welcome, young ones. We are the architects. This is our warning. This is our gift. This is our failure. The crew of the Aegis stood frozen. They were hearing the voice of a civilization that had died before humanity learned to make fire. The voice continued. We were the first to reach the stars. We built wonders. We unlocked the secrets of reality itself. And we learned too late that we were not alone in the universe. Images began flooding into their minds. The architects, in their glory, building ring worlds and Dyson spheres, reshaping galaxies to their will. Then, something else appeared in the images. Something wrong. Shapes that existed in more dimensions than 3. Beings that fed on energy itself, devouring stars and planets, and leaving only void behind. The devourers, the voice said. They came from beyond our universe, breaking through the barriers between realities. They consumed 63 galaxies before we stopped them. We built weapons to fight them. We built tools that could tear apart space-time, create and destroy matter, manipulate the fundamental forces of existence. Oracle suddenly spoke, but its voice was different, layered, as if something else was speaking through it. Captain, I must tell you something. I am not simply an artificial intelligence. I am a fragment. When the Aegis's systems first activated, they awakened something that was sleeping in the architect data. Part of me is architect consciousness, preserved for millions of years, waiting for someone worthy to find it. Jiwon felt cold. You've been hiding this? I did not understand what I was until we came here, Oracle said. Now I remember. I was a guardian AI, built to protect the final archive. Captain, the architects left their knowledge here for the races that would come after. They hoped we would learn from their mistakes. Replied. 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 What mistakes? Dr. Hana asked. The architect voice answered. We won the war against the Devourers. We drove them back through the dimensional rifts. But victory came at terrible cost. Our weapons were too powerful. In defeating the Devourers, we destroyed ourselves. The energy unleashed by our final weapons tore apart the fabric of our civilization. We killed ourselves to save the galaxy. Images showed the architects' last days. Their beautiful worlds burning, consumed by their own weapons. The survivors building these archives, leaving messages for whoever came next. We leave you our knowledge and our warning, the voice said. The Devourers will return. They always return. The rifts between realities are not permanent seals. In your time, young ones, they will come again. We leave you the tools to fight them. But we warn you, do not make our mistake. Power without wisdom destroys all it touches. Suddenly, alarm klaxons blared on the Aegis. Captain, I'm reading ships entering the Veil, Doyun reported. Multiple signatures. They're council ships, but something's wrong. They're not broadcasting normal identification codes. Oracle, identify those ships, G1 ordered. Negative identification in database. Ships are using council hulls, but modified extensively. Energy signatures suggest experimental weapons. Assessment. These are not official council forces. These are black operations ships. Unji understood first. Someone on the council knows about this place. Someone wants the architect knowledge destroyed before anyone else can find it. How many ships? G1 asked. 23. All heavily armed. They are powering weapons. Captain, they intend to destroy both us and the ring structure. On the lead attack ship, a hooded figure watched the Aegis on the main screen. The humans found it. Just as predicted. Initiate Protocol Omega. Destroy the ring world and everything near it. Leave no evidence. The assassin fleet opened fire. Not on the Aegis, but on the ancient ring structure. Massive weapons designed to crack planets hammered into the 10-million-year-old metal. They're trying to destroy the archive. Unji screamed. All the architect knowledge will be lost. Jiwan didn't hesitate. Minho, get us between those ships and the ring. Oracle, defensive pattern alpha. Protect the structure. 200C. On 100. 200C. Captain, that's suicide, Commander Hyunwoo said. We can't fight 23 ships and protect something that size. Then we'd better get creative. Oracle, can the architect structure defend itself? Oracle's layered voice responded. Negative. Defensive systems failed 8 million years ago. However, if I can interface directly with the ring's core, I may be able to access the archive data and transfer critical information before the structure is destroyed. Do it, Jiwon said. Hana, I need every weapon we have. Minho, how much power can you give me? Minho's laugh sounded slightly insane. Captain, I can overload the quantum slip drive. It'll give us 3 times our normal power output for about 10 minutes. Then the drive will melt and we'll be stranded here. Do it. The Aegis Eternal became a shield. It positioned itself between the assassin fleet and the ring world, taking fire meant for the ancient structure. The adaptive armor absorbed hit after hit, learning and adjusting, but even armor that learned couldn't withstand this level of sustained bombardment. Hull breaches on decks 7 and 9, Doyun reported. Shields at 40%. Oracle was doing something no one had thought possible. The AI was interfacing with technology 10 million years old, downloading libraries of information that would take human scientists centuries to understand. But it was working. In engineering, Minho watched his displays with growing horror. The quantum slip drive was glowing red-hot. Warning lights filled his vision. They had maybe 5 minutes before catastrophic failure. "Captain, I can buy us more time," he said quietly. "If I manually overload the containment fields, I can channel all the drive's energy into the weapons and shields simultaneously." Jiwan understood immediately. "That'll kill you." "Probably," Minho agreed. "But Oracle needs time. The archive needs to survive. And Captain, this ship has been my life's work. If I'm going to die, I'd like it to be making sure my masterpiece fulfills its purpose." Minho. Wait. But engineer Minho Kang had already started the sequence. He manually bypassed every safety system he had built. He watched the quantum slip, drive's energy output, spike to impossible levels. The power flooded into the Aegis's weapons and shields. The singularity cannons fired with 3 times their normal power. Enemy ships vanished in rapid succession. The shields expanded, covering not just the Aegis, but parts of the ring structure itself. In engineering, Minho felt the heat growing. The containment fields were failing. He had maybe 30 seconds. He thought about his family on Earth. He thought about the Aegis, the ship he had designed from nothing. He thought about making a difference. "Captain," he said over the comm, his voice calm. "Acknowledged, Engineer Kang," Oracle said. "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten." Wrote. The quantum slip drive exploded. Not catastrophically. Minho had controlled the detonation, channeling it away from critical systems. But the engineering section was vaporized instantly. Engineer Minho Kang died without pain, consumed by the same energy he had mastered. The explosion gave the Aegis one final surge of power. The singularity cannons fired a full salvo, destroying 8 more assassin ships. The survivors, realizing they couldn't win, retreated into quantum slip. "Oracle, report," Jiwan said, tears streaming down her face. "Archive download complete. I have acquired 93% of the architect knowledge. Captain, I understand now. The Devourers are real. They are returning. Long-range sensors hidden throughout the galaxy have detected them at the edge of explored space. They will arrive in this galaxy in approximately 20 years. And the Council knows? Yes. They discovered this truth 300 years ago. Rather than prepare for the Devourer threat, they chose to suppress all architect knowledge and maintain their political control. They feared that any species with access to architect weapons would become unstoppable. Dr. Hana spoke, her voice filled with rage. They let us build restricted ships. They made laws to keep humanity weak, all while knowing a threat was coming that would destroy everything. They chose politics over survival. Jiwan looked at the damaged Aegis, at the ring structure slowly breaking apart as its ancient systems finally failed. At the empty space where engineering used to be. "Set course for Earth," she said quietly. "We're going home, and we're telling everyone the truth. The Council, the architects, the Devourers, all of it. They'll try to stop us," Hyunwoo warned. "Let them try," Jiwan said. "Minho died for this information. The architects left it for us. And I'll be damned if I let politicians and cowards decide the fate of the galaxy." As the damaged Aegis limped away from the veil, Oracle spoke one last time in its layered voice. "Engineer Minho Kang's sacrifice has been recorded in my core memory. When humanity builds its next generation of ships, I recommend one be named in his honor." Everyone on the bridge agreed. The Kang's pride would fly one day, carrying the legacy of a man who gave everything so others could live. The Aegis Eternal arrived at Earth orbit 3 days later. The ship was damaged, limping, its quantum slip drive destroyed. But it carried something more valuable than any weapon. The truth. Captain Jiwan Lee stood on the bridge, looking at her homeworld through the viewport. She had left Earth as a ship captain on an illegal mission. She was returning as someone who had changed the galaxy forever. "Captain, we're being hailed by Earth Defense Command," Doyun reported. "They're ordering us to power down and prepare for boarding." "Ignore them," Jiwan said. "Oracle, Broadcast what we found to every communication channel in the solar system. Every ship, every station, every settlement. I want everyone to hear this. Acknowledged. The broadcast began. Images from the Architect Archive. The Devourers. The Council's 300-year cover-up. The assassins who tried to destroy the evidence. Everything. Within minutes. Every screen on Earth showed the truth. People in the streets stopped and stared. Politicians in their chambers watched in horror. Military commanders saw the images and understood immediately what was coming. Admiral Tae-min Park watched from his office in Earth Defense Command. He saw the Devourers, beings from beyond reality that fed on entire galaxies. He saw the timeline Oracle had calculated. 20 years until they arrived. Maybe less. He picked up his communicator. Get me the other admirals. All of them. And someone get Captain Lee on a secure channel. She just started a revolution. And we need to be ready for it. In orbit, a council fleet of 300 ships surrounded Earth. Their commander, Admiral Korath, was under strict orders. Capture the Aegis. Silence the crew. Destroy all evidence of the Architect knowledge. He opened a channel to Earth. This is Council Enforcement Fleet 7. You have 1 hour to surrender the Aegis Eternal and its crew, or we will consider Earth in rebellion against the Galactic Council. Ambassador Soman Han responded from the Council Embassy on Earth. Admiral Korath, the information broadcast by the Aegis Eternal has been verified by multiple independent scientists. The Council has been lying to the galaxy for 3 centuries. We will not surrender people who expose the truth. Then you choose war. No, said a new voice. Admiral Tae-min appeared on the communication channel. You chose war. The moment you made laws, designed to keep humanity helpless, while you hid the greatest threat the galaxy has ever faced. Admiral Park, stand down. You cannot win this fight. Tae-min smiled. It was the smile of a man who had been waiting for this moment. Oracle, would you please show Admiral Korath what Project Pantheon has been building? All across Earth's solar system, ships powered up. They had been hiding in asteroid fields, behind moons, in the shadows of gas giants. 7 massive warships, each one the equal of the Aegis Eternal. We built 1 Aegis to save our people. Tae-min said calmly. Did you really think we stopped there? Meet the Pantheon fleet. Aegis Eternal, Titan's Fist, Stormbreaker, Iron Will, Voidwalker, Starhammer, and Thunderchild. 7 human warships, Admiral Korath. All Class 1-2. All fully operational. All commanded by people who are very tired of being told we can't defend ourselves. Admiral Korath stared at his sensor displays. The human ships were real. The energy signatures matched the Aegis. Earth hadn't built 1 illegal warship. They had built 8. This is insanity, Korath said. The Council will never accept this. Then the Council can try to stop us, Tae-min replied. But let me be clear, Admiral. We have positioned quantum weapons in orbit of every Council member world. Not as threats, as insurance. If you attack Earth, your own planets die. This is not aggression. This is mutually assured survival. The Council fleet did not fire. They could not. The humans had checkmated them perfectly, but the real change was happening across the galaxy. The Aegis's broadcast had reached every species, every world. People saw the Devourers. They saw the Council's lies. And they saw that humanity had broken free of the chains meant to control them. Riots broke out on a dozen Council worlds. Species that had been kept technologically suppressed for centuries demanded access to Architect knowledge. The careful political structure the Council had maintained for 300 years collapsed in 3 days. Chancellor Vrix called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. The chamber was half empty. Many species had recalled their ambassadors in protest. This body is in crisis, Vrix said, his 6 eyes showing exhaustion. Humanity has violated our most sacred laws and shattered the peace we have carefully maintained. Ambassador Saminhan stood. She was no longer alone. Representatives from 17 other species stood with her. Chancellor Vrix, there is no peace when laws are built on lies, Samin said. You knew the devourers were returning. You knew billions would die, and you chose to maintain your political power rather than prepare. Well, humanity chose differently. We chose survival, and we will share the architect knowledge with any species brave enough to use it. You would arm the galaxy with weapons that destroyed the architects themselves? We would give the galaxy a chance to survive, Samin said. 20 years, Chancellor. That's how long we have before the devourers arrive. 20 years to build defenses, to prepare, to unite. We can spend that time fighting each other. Or we can spend it building something that can actually save us. The council chamber fell silent. Vrix knew he had lost. The old order was dead. Humanity had killed it when they built the Aegis Eternal. Very well. Vrix said quietly. I propose a new treaty. All species will have access to defensive technologies, including architect knowledge, but this knowledge will be shared under oversight, with safeguards to prevent misuse. No, Samin said. No more oversight. No more restrictions designed to keep some species weak while others stay strong. Every species gets the same access. Every species gets to choose their own path. That's the only way this works. The vote was close, but it passed. The Galactic Council's weapon restrictions were dissolved. Species that had been technologically suppressed for centuries suddenly had access to knowledge that would change everything. 5 years passed. Captain Jiwan Li, now Admiral Li, stood on the bridge of a ship much larger than the Aegis Eternal. The flagship of the United Galactic Defense Fleet was a joint construction project involving 43 species. It combined human tactical systems with alien shield technology, Vothan engines with Keltar weapons, all powered by cores built using architect principles. The fleet numbered 10,000 ships. Some were human. Many were not. Species that had hated each other for centuries now worked side by side, united by a common enemy. Admiral, we're approaching the designated coordinates, her new first officer reported. Commander Seojin Kwan was young, brilliant, and had never known a galaxy where humanity was considered weak. All ships, battle formation Delta, Jiwan ordered. This is it. First contact with Devourer advanced scouts. The sensors showed them. 3 ships, if you could call them that. They existed partially in normal space, partially in dimensions that hurt to look at. They fed on the energy of stars, growing stronger with each one they consumed. But the galaxy was ready now. Dr. Hana Choi's weapons, built using technology that engineer Minho Kang had died to obtain, were installed on every ship. The Kang's Pride, a new Aegis-class ship, sat at the fleet's center, named in honor of a hero. Oracle, now distributed across the entire fleet as a coordinated intelligence network, spoke in its layered voice. All ships, report ready. Architect protocols, active. Captain Lee, the architects left us one final message in the archive. Would you like to hear it? Yes. The ancient voice filled every ship in the fleet. Young ones, if you hear this, you have found our knowledge. You have chosen to fight, rather than hide. We failed. Perhaps you will succeed where we could not. The devourers can be beaten, but only through unity, sacrifice, and the willingness to protect others above yourselves. These are the things that define civilizations worth saving. Go now, and show the darkness that this galaxy belongs to the light. Ji-won felt tears on her face. She thought of Minho, who had sacrificed himself. She thought of Admiral Tae-min, who had risked everything to build the Aegis. She thought of every human who had refused to accept the chains placed on them. All ships, she said, her voice carrying to 10,000 vessels. We are not the architects. We did not build this galaxy, but we will defend it. We will show the Devourers that this galaxy has new guardians now. Guardians who learned that power without purpose is useless. But purpose without power is helpless. Today, we have both. The battle began. The Devourers were strong, their weapons bending reality itself. But the United Fleet was stronger. Human tactics, combined with alien endurance. Vothan weapons alongside Keltar shields. Knowledge shared freely rather than hoarded. The first Devourer scout fell when the Kang's Pride used a singularity weapon to collapse the dimensional rift that sustained it. The second was destroyed by a coordinated strike from 17 different species ships. The third tried to flee. But Oracle had predicted its escape route. It took 6 hours, but the scouts were destroyed. The galaxy had won its first battle against the Devourers. On Earth, Admiral Taman Park watched the battlefields with pride. He was 63 now, his scarred face showing more lines. But he smiled as he watched ships from 43 species fight as one. His communicator chimed. It was Ambassador Salmon. "We did it, Taman," she said. "We actually did it. The galaxy is united." "For now," Taman said. "The real invasion is still coming. But we proved something today. We proved that when people work together, when they share knowledge instead of hoarding it, when they choose courage over fear, they can face anything. Even things from beyond reality, even those. Across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, people celebrated. Not because the war was over. It had barely begun. The Devourer main force would arrive in 15 years. But for the first time in galactic history, every species stood together. And at the center of it all was a single ship. The Aegis Eternal, damaged but still flying, had become a symbol, not of human superiority, but of the courage to stand up when others would not, the courage to break unjust laws when lives were at stake, the courage to believe that the future could be better than the past. Captain Jiwan Lee stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Devourers were coming. Let them come. This galaxy had guardians now. Guardians who had built warships too mighty to be legal, and then made them legal anyway. The future would be hard. The battles would be terrible. But humanity and its allies would face them together, armed with knowledge that had waited 10 million years for someone worthy to find it. The architects had failed to save themselves. But they had saved the future by leaving behind the tools and wisdom needed to fight. And humanity, stubborn, courageous, refusing to ever accept defeat, had found those tools and shared them with everyone. In the end, that was what saved the galaxy. Not the weapons, not the technology, but the simple human belief that everyone deserved a chance to survive, even if you had to break every law in existence to give them that chance. Admiral Taman Park smiled one last time. "We didn't start a war," he said to the empty room. "We ended one before it could destroy us all." And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, the Devourers felt something they had never felt before. Fear, because they were facing something new. Not the architects, with their lonely pride, but a galaxy, united. Different species, with different strengths, working together, learning from each other. The Devourers had destroyed 63 galaxies. This one would not fall so easily. Not while humanity and its allies still drew breath. Not while the Aegis Eternal still flew. Not while hope remained.